Are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Who am I speaking with?
This is the cousin.
This is the cousin. Okay. And you don't have to. I got a banner up, so you don't have to show my face, your face, or anything like that. We can just speak this way, okay? I see. I got
Perfect.
private messages. You're you're doing everything correctly. Don't worry. Now, mind you, I can't confirm that you're her, and I honestly, I just want to whatever you want to tell me, you talk, and I'm gonna shut up, okay?
Honestly, I really don't know what to say. Chessie was asking me if I was going to name myself, and I didn't want to.
You don't have to.
Exactly. I feel like being that it's still an open case, that
Yes,
I don't want to put anything out there that could cause
don't.
problems.
No, don't. And as somebody who, yes, I'm a YouTuber, but I'm also a full time social worker, and I know what court looks like. So don't name yourself at all. Okay. So everything that we
Mhm.
say and I say here is alleged, and I want to just kind of be mindful of that. Um, so you put out those emails at the very least on the Reddit page,
I actually wasn't the one that put them out on the Reddit page. They were on a survivor group on Facebook.
a survivor group of Jared.
No, it's a like a survivor group for SA victims.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
One of
I
the people in the Reddit thread had actually done some research, and they were really good at their research. And apparently, I gave away a little too much information. And they were able to like
oh my
find
god.
everything, my name and everything. And they reached out to me, and they did everything tactfully. You know, they had my permission to put what they put out there.
You are so fucking brave. Can I just say how brave you are?
Well, I
Like
appreciate you saying that,
you
but
are
I don't
so
feel it
brave,
at all.
girl. No, I just want to say you are so brave. Okay. Don't let anybody tell you different. You are so brave for speaking out.
Well, I appreciate you. And to clarify, I know everybody keeps asking, but I don't want anything other than justice from this.
Okay. Okay. And this is it just to be clear then you emailed the company, is that correct?
I did. I have successfully kept my distance from Jared personally and quite a bit of the family for the majority of my life, to the point
Hmm.
where when people would ask me, "Hey, are you coming to the family reunion?" My first question was, "Is Jared going to be there?" And that was the deciding factor as to whether or not I went.
Yeah.
So I knew absolutely nothing about him. I had the issue with with the whole funeral thing, and
Yeah.
then I was just on Facebook reading random stories because I was waiting for something and I had some time to kill, and I was reading random stories and came across that story, and it just hit home. And I won't lie, I seen red, and I immediately found his website and I sent him that email.
I was reading your email or the email and I'm tell you like I felt I was getting so choked up as well. It was almost like all of us felt it here. All of us in the chat. All of us. Um
Oh, well, I'm glad it's legible because I was feeling such rage at that moment when I was writing it. I'm surprised anything even came out.
absolutely. I just want to like commend you for speaking out. Um because you don't know everybody here is just so excited to hear you. Um period.
I honestly am just I'm floored it even made it this far. I was really surprised. I was prepared for the worst.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you if is he like the black sheep of the family? Like I'm just trying to figure this out.
I
I
wouldn't
hate to say it that
say,
way, but
if you want 100% honesty, I wouldn't say no, he's the black sheep of the family because he has always kind of risen to whatever it is he tried to do. So they've always respected that. Something that unfortunately is just a big part of our family. And so they, I don't know how to word it.
yeah, yeah. But it sounds like even on the
Yeah, they
narrative,
encouraged it, but whereas like Chessie and any of us that have actually spoken out and been truthful and said anything against the family, we're truly the black sheep. So we're the ones that have been pushed to the side and kind of outed.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Period. And so then I would imagine having to live this, you've been to therapy, you've been through all this
Yes, ma'am.
to address it. Oh my gosh. How does it feel to have people say or try to discredit your story?
I've kind of lived with that my whole life. That was nothing new.
Oh my gosh, girl.
I mean, it didn't feel good. And, obviously it wasn't a preferred outcome by any means. Nobody wants that to be the reaction to something that you've said that it took a lot for you to even say in the first place.
My God. Do you feel like what outcome would you like from this? I mean, did you expect him to be indicted on anything at this point?
I don't know what I was truly expecting, to be 100% honest. Like I said, I was preparing for the worst, for them to just contact me and say, I'm sorry, this case is too old. I'm not 100% sure we can do anything with this. I, again, haven't been in contact with the majority of my family for so long that I was not aware that I would have the people that came out and actually did back me. So I thought I was going to be completely alone in this. So it's all
Yeah,
been a more positive experience than I expected.
right. Oh man. And you have a lot of people that support you in the chat, by the way. My goodness.
I appreciate you guys.
Anything that you want to share with us pertaining to the emails, or like what was your moment when you were writing those emails? Where was your mind?
I was so angry at first, but then, as you can see by the dates on it, we didn't continue the conversation until the next day. And so I had a little bit more time to think about it. And that was when I just realized that this was my opportunity and I really needed to try to say what I had to say and see if I could get him to put anything in writing, even if just for my own sake. So that way, the next time somebody tried to tell me, oh, you're just being dramatic, or, you're being a prima donna, or whatever else I've been called by the family, I actually had written proof and I could turn around and go, no, I'm sorry, but I have it. You can't tell me this anymore.
You're going to be there, obviously, I guess, November 30th?
He said that I don't have to be there. I don't
Okay.
particularly want to have to be
Okay.
there if I don't have to be, but I will be.
Do you need help with attorney stuff? Like, are you good?
This right now, because it is the criminal case, the state has taken it on. This is all them. This is Utah versus Jared. This is
Oh,
not me
wow.
versus Jared. That would only be if I were possibly going after money and did like a civil case. Would I require a lawyer
Absolutely.
at that point?
Are they offering you advocacy, a victim's advocate, or anything like that through the state?
Both the state of Utah and the state of Nevada offered it to me, yes.
Okay.
Another question too, because I was just familiarizing myself with this. So Utah, from when I looked online, they just lifted the statute of limitations in 2017. Is that correct? About with regards to child sexual abuse?
I'm not 100% sure on the dates. I only accidentally came across this again because of a Facebook ad. It said something about, were you molested in the Mormon church? Click here to see if a lawyer can help you out. And so I just kind of went down that rabbit hole.
When you got these, when you had like that email exchange, is that kind of too what motivated you, like to kind of come forward more because now you had more solid like information as far as admitting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Jessica said, and I completely agree, you need to change your name from cousin to hero. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. Jessica, keep us in line. Period. That's how it is.
Well, I'm not the only hero. She's definitely putting herself out there much more than I even have at this point. So I'd say she's a step above me. She's even let everybody know what her name is. I haven't been able to do that yet.
Absolutely.
The other thing too, and if you can answer, are there other people too potentially that are like victims besides you and the sister?
I think the only reason I feel comfortable saying this is because I've already, unfortunately, in the heat of a moment, already said this in writing somewhere, I believe on Reddit, that yes, there are more of us, but that's their story to tell, and they need to be comfortable with the timing or if they even decide to go through this. I reached out to a few when I started this process, and they decided to decline.
Absolutely. Jared himself alluded, or even said it in the email, that there was families and together, and there was it was a very like they had a way to deal with it. Why haven't you dealt with it? Type of kind of shift blaming the victim, if that makes sense.
It 100 makes sense because that is the family dynamic. This does go generations back. I won't go into much detail about that because, again, that's all their stories. But I mean, this is generational for sure. So it's been almost to the point where, as angry as I am towards my mother for hugging him and telling her she forgave him, I almost kind of later looking back on it and after going to therapy and discussing it, I can understand why going through that kind of family trauma that was her immediate knee-jerk reaction because that's what they're taught to do. That's what we were all taught to do.
There is, and I want to be careful because the chat is bringing this up as well. Do you at all feel like any of this is in relation to the church, to the Mormon church? Have you separated those two? Or personally, I feel like we can't blame the church and allow the church to take responsibility for what a grown man has done. But I'll let you answer that.
I think only in the way of the church has that forgive and forget kind of motto. Realistically, because I'm not LDS, my mother's not LDS. a lot of us weren't, and we weren't, I wasn't brought up in that way whatsoever. As a small kid, I kind of remember going to church with them occasionally, but that's all I remember. So I wasn't brought up that way. It was more just the family dynamic because it did have such a hardcore Mormon background to it.
Was Jared LDS?
At one point in time, yes, I believe. I mean, he had to have been. His father was. You'd be better off asking Chessie about that, being his sister. Again, like I said, I kept very far away from him. Even as a small child, before everything else started happening, he always scared me. He did evil things.
I'm going to drop the link for Jessica if she wants to come up. Completely up to her. How has this all affected you overall in your life making decisions, family? Are you able to share a little bit with us?
I've always had extreme trust issues, understandably. I always, for the longest time, I will not lie, I was always very sad and felt kind of like a pit inside of me as if something was missing because I didn't have that connection with my family. I didn't have that, I wasn't involved in a lot of the things that they did. I wasn't invited to a lot of the things they did. It was pretty much just the typical, hey, we're inviting everybody to the family union. So I fell under that umbrella. So I have a big disconnect with the family, so I can't answer a whole lot of questions on their behalf, if that makes any sense, because I stayed away from them as much as I could. If I possibly had the choice to not be around them, I didn't.
And you currently don't have any contact with the family, right? It sounds like you've been pretty distant from everyone.
Yeah, no, the last contact I had with them was when I let them all know what my intentions were and that there was a possibility some of them could be brought into it because Jared himself named them in emails.
Absolutely.
Have you spoken at all to Jared since like that email exchange?
No, I was never actually told by anybody to not have contact with him, but I just assumed, again, being with everything that was about to happen, it was better to just not say anything to him. I don't really have much else to say to him at this point.
Can you tell me how it felt when you got the call from the district attorney's office, or was it an email when they informed you what they were planning to do?
It was a phone call, and I answered the phone with a pit in my stomach, expecting him to just kind of blow me off because it'd been a little while. And the news was much better than I expected it to do. And I will not lie, I was jumping up and down and crying.
Wow. My goodness. I'm just amazed. Number one, you hit the link. I didn't think you were going to hit the link. I didn't think anybody was going to hit the link, right? You're an amazing person for speaking up. I'm just at odd by your words, and just everything that you've said. Mel, do you have any other questions for?
I was kind of wondering too, and again, I'm sorry because I didn't hear some of the previous conversations you guys had, but so I had heard that you were trying to talk about this from a while back, and is it true that your comments and stuff were being deleted on Reddit? Like I had seen screenshots of something like that.
Yes, a lot of the users on Reddit were having an issue with me putting it out there because, and I understand looking back on it, they were just accusations at that point. I'm sorry. I honestly I was still trying to be comfortable with being vocal about it, and I use the internet as my buffer zone, if that makes any sense. So my first time actually saying anything and putting anything out there was on the internet, and I did it in a victims advocacy group. So it was kind of a small group of people, and then my next step was I moved on to like Reddit and stuff like that, and was kind of looking at stuff, and that's where I found some comments, and I couldn't help myself. I commented on them, and that was my kind of my platform to take the backlash and see if I was even strong enough to move forward with this. And the stuff that people said to me and the stuff that they messaged me in my inbox was just horrific. But after going through all of that, and I talked to my therapist about it, she says, well, you survived it, didn't you? And I was like, yes. And she goes, you're stronger for it, correct? And I was like, okay. And she goes, well, a trial is going to be nothing more than that. Anything and everything these people threw at you, these accusations, everything like that is what you're going to get in a trial. So do you think you're strong enough to move forward? And at that point I said yes. And I actually reached out to the police department and made the first step.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. And your bravery, like just you and Jessica, my goodness, like what you've taken on is huge, and it's not going to stop here, right? I think we all support you and we stand with you. I think I have Jessica here. Jessica, is this you?
Yes, it's me.
I'm not going to make you send me another message. Thank you for
I
doing
can
it, though.
verify it, sir. I know that voice.
You cool. Shout out to you guys.
Sorry, it took me a long time to try to figure out how to get logged into this thing. I've never done this before.
I figured as much, Jessica. Like, you're on it. Like, you're speaking out. Oops, sorry about that, my daughter. You're speaking out. Like, where's your mind at? Where are your thoughts at right now? I didn't hear what you said. Say that again.
This, I was kicked out of my family back at a very young age because of this, because I spoke out and I wouldn't back down from the truth.
Your sound is a little bit in and out, and I'm wondering if I heard what you said. You were kicked out of your family because of this, because you spoke out. Your family is definitely not in support of you guys speaking out. Am I hearing that correctly?
The majority of them know.
Is the family offering any support at this point? Is there anything you guys can answer to that?
I can't speak for Chessie, to be honest, but I've gotten a little bit. I don't want to name names because I don't want to, again, ruin anything or let anybody know who said what.
Especially if they're targets, you definitely don't want to name anybody's name at this point, you know?
Exactly.
My goodness. Wow.
Yeah, I'm glad that Jessica's supporting you as well, because I think it just adds more to it. Because I was looking at some of the comments, and even though some people were nasty, other people were like, "Wow, like this is like a even though what you brought forward was a lot, I thought even that email exchange, but just having somebody else to say like, hey, this happened to me too, I think it's just really brave as well for her to support you, and that she's really public with it, and kind of standing along with you. So it's just more fuel to the fire, I guess, of what's going on here. And I feel like there's more definitely that's going to come out and come from this whole situation.
Absolutely. I think having Jessica there kind of gave that this is actually real, right? That there's things that have happened within this family network and system, and that this isn't somebody just coming out of the woodworks to say all this. I mean, thank you, Jessica, for supporting, right? Like, you guys are awesome for being there for each other, you know?
I definitely appreciate her more than she even knows. I guarantee it. She took a lot of weight off of my shoulders because I felt like I was drowning under this for quite some time. And then she jumped up. It was my hero, and she backed me up when, again, like I said, I was not even sure if anybody from my family was going to attempt to do that or if they were just going to all be on his side. Right. And I'm so thankful that they did. More states really need to catch on to that because, like I said, most people, there was no way I had completely comprehended what had happened to me by 3 years.
And I wonder if some of this came from just the religious abuse stuff that was coming out of Utah between the LDS Church and also the institutional places in Utah, right? Because they were doing a lot of treatment centers. You told this man he needs to go to the police station and say all the wrongdoings that he did. And that's what you want. He needs to serve time behind bars. That is what you want as the victim of this situation. So for those that are asking, well, what does she want? It was pretty black and white written in that message, how I saw it.
Exactly. And I mean, for all I knew, we could have walked in there and they would have just looked at me and been like, why are you bothering me with this? I was willing and prepared to have that outcome, but that was really all I asked for.
Hey, Jessica, you're back. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I don't know where you lost me.
You were sharing just in general a little bit of I think you said you were kicked out of the family for speaking out. If you want to keep going from there, we'll hear you from there.
Sure, absolutely. I was kicked out of the family at a very young age for speaking out. I don't even know what to even think about that, looking back at it, on it as an adult, because I never would do any of that to my children. I would actually seek the help that they needed. When here a while back, I had gotten an email through Messenger, I had received some stuff, which has been all over social media lately, and that was the text between the hero and Adventures with Purpose. And I was asked, have you heard about this? And I guess this has been going on since the first part of the year. I had not heard about this. And I was recently over this stuff, or at least I thought that I was over my past, and I was starting to move forward. As you'll even see on my Facebook page, I have a picture of me in a camouflage jacket with some cleavage. And I finally was starting to realize how beautiful of a person I was, not only on the inside, but the outside. I was starting to finally believe all the things that people have been telling me about myself, that I was a beautiful person. And I even made a funny comment about it saying, hey, I'm in a camouflage jacket so no one can see me, and then all of a sudden I get this message, and I know that I need to help. I know that I need to help the hero, because I know that the hero wants justice. I know that the hero is hurting because the hero is seeing someone else be called a hero that is the farthest thing from it. And that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair, and it's not fair to others to not have their children protected. It's not fair for the nation now to be calling somebody a hero when their own children could possibly, allegedly, be at risk. I knew that I had to take it upon myself to take a few steps back, and even though it has pretty much drug me emotionally through the dirt, it has been very hard on me because, like I said, I thought it was something that I was over. I'm obviously not, but I definitely will not stand by and watch other people hurt when justice can possibly be served, when other people can possibly not be abused by the same person. They have every right to know who this person really is that was being called a hero. They're not the hero. My cousin is the hero. And I am willing, and I still am willing to put my life at risk. It's been.
Hero, do you have anything to say so far? I mean, because I know you got to be very careful what you say, but just overall, where is your mind at? Are you doing okay?
I am. It just brings up old memories, and I feel so bad for Jessie because I know what she went through in the family. She was the one who was demonized mostly that kept the rest of us so quiet because we didn't want to be in the same position she was.
I was wondering too, for Hero, I was wondering, do you believe like the rest of AWP knew about this stuff, or?
I won't lie, when I first read that, I thought that's just a typical tactic for him to say, well, everybody knows about this. So that way I wouldn't attempt to try to reach out in case I was trying to cause drama, which was never my intent. I only wanted to speak to him. But after, I think I seen another YouTube video somewhere where an ex-AWP employee had came on and said that, yes, they knew. But it was dumbed down. And it's exactly the way he admitted everything to my mother. It was a very watered down version.
Yeah, he had come on. I think his name is Kevin. He came on yesterday, and he had said something about like he had mentioned the situation, but like you said, I guess probably watered down, not the real details. And the other thing too, I wanted to ask you because I saw a clip of a video where he mentions, I think when he was 16 or 17, that he had left the country. Do you think it was because of everything that happened?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't speak on that.
Okay.
I didn't know about all of that until recently when somebody in the family told me the story.
When he told you, so basically when he told you in the email that he's got nothing to hide, this is an unfiltered company email, so everybody in the email company, do you think that was tactic for him to just kind of keep you quiet?
I assumed as much, yes.
Okay. That's so interesting. I mean, unless the support emails went everywhere, because it was like AWP support or something, right?
Yeah, I didn't email him at a personal email because I didn't have one for him at that time.
I think that the bravery for you just to write an email and send the email, tell me, like, you were upset, anything else that you want to share about where your mind was at the time when you sent it?
I would love to say that any of this was actually bravery, but it was just full on, I was upset. Everything came back to the surface. Everything that I had, like Jessie said, thought I'd moved on from, thought I had pushed down and dealt with and had just, just became okay with like I was supposed to, like everybody else in the family. And then, all of that happened, and it was just, I was upset. And everything over those generations of being upset about that from the moment that I stood there silently screaming in my head, this is a lie, as he's admitting to my mom what he said he did to me, all the way up until this point, just came out in writing at that moment.
What I find very interesting, Mel, and I don't know, you might have read it on your channel too, the About Me page of his history. He doesn't talk about any of his history that Steve Fisher pulled, the 39.
Oh, wow.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, he didn't mention any of that. And I was looking at that yesterday. It was a lot. It was a long, I'm going to have to look it up again, history of like I'm going to have to pull it up and see right now. Let's see. Yeah, long history. A lot of traffic infractions, reckless driving.
Did you see the weapons?
Let's see. Yeah, weapon use unlawful, DWS violation, attempt to elude police, and then some of the stuff goes pretty far back. Firearm, carry, use dangerous weapon, attempt to flee police, false swearing, menacing, pointing firearm at another. Yeah, these are all into like in the 90s.
None of that was written on his About Me page. It was like, I did a 20-page essay with about a girl, and trying to pick up girls that way. And it sounded like he married his high school sweetheart. Like, I'm just wondering, and then he might have had a baby during this guy. It was like a love child type of, I hate to say it that way, but something to that effect where there is no communication. But where in that did he have time to fit all this background? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, no, he didn't mention none of that. And it was, I mean, I don't know if you were actually a hero, but like, how did you feel with his responses? Were you like infuriated? Because I was thinking like I'd be like upset because it just felt very manipulative, his response.
Oh, absolutely. For him to just brush it off as I've forgiven myself, so
Yeah.
now it's kind of up to you to do it.
Right.
I'm going to name off everybody else in the family that's been through this. Why don't you go talk to them to figure out how to get over it? Because they did.
Yeah. I thought it was complete BS.
The worst, and it made me so sick to my stomach, is when he actually referred one of his previous victims for me to go speak to.
Like like you should speak to her because she's more along your age. Something to
So I
that
can learn
effect.
how to forgive. I can be
Yeah.
more forgiving, and I can figure out how to forgive like she did.
You should speak to like a forgiveness coach. I was
Pretty
like,
much.
what the hell is
Yeah,
that?
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody said
Hey
condescending.
Jessica. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Hey Jessica, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you. I mean, we were right there when you were telling us everything that happened. We were just talking about Jared's background. It sounds like very intense, but he doesn't talk about it in his About Me page. Was this what happened in the 90s with this man?
What happened in the 90s with which man?
Jared.
Oh, everything. Um, Almost every single type of criminal act that you can imagine. And a lot of times even though, I mean, it sounds sick and twisted, but if you look at it from a psychological standpoint, especially looking back at it now, it's understandable why I was always drawn to wanting his attention, wanting his approval. So I was, I was in the back seat or right next to him the whole time, committing a lot of these crimes.
Jessica, I was wondering about that whole situation where he orders, I guess, food, and what was this like? What do you think his intentions was? Like, I guess hoping that you would show up,
I,
to curse you
I,
out.
I'm not sure what his intentions are. Allegedly, I think
Mm.
his intentions were to try to get me fired from my job so I wouldn't have money to go to Utah for this court case. I have been disabled for over 12 years now, and I ended up getting my last Social Security check actually last November. Ended up getting it, I believe, the first part of December because it was the November check. But and it's just because I was miraculously healed. That's a whole nother story itself, because I thought I was going to be disabled for life. All of a sudden, my medical situation got better, and I was able to go back to work. And after holding a job for an entire year, I finally gave up Social Security. Everybody told me not to do it, but I did it anyways. I'm a strong person, and I want to keep moving forward in any direction that I can. And so now for a little while later, and I've now held my job for almost 2 years straight, and I get an order to deliver to a Jared, which I had delivered to his other home address a couple different times. It was very uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and at the time I would actually take a screenshot and I would send it to my kids and my best friend and say, this is where I'm going to order at in case something happens. I flat out would do that. And so on this particular day, I got this order for a Jared L, but it was at a different address that was clear on the outskirts of town. It was not inside our regular city limits. And there's a lot of Jareds out there that I deliver to. And so, but because it had the last initial L, I did the screenshots again that day too. And I did send those to a friend of mine saying, and I believe to family as well, saying, hey, I don't know if this is Jared's new address or not, but on his end, he will see my first name. And as you can see, my first name is very unique. So there's no question that in a town of only 30,000 people, that it's his sister coming to his address with specific instructions saying, go through this gate, go down the driveway. I mean, there was very specific instructions of what I needed to do to get down there that I didn't say. I kind of summarized on my Facebook page, but as I was pulling up to the gate started actually closing to where I actually had to back up a tiny bit. I parked my van, to where, looking back at it, I believe that he was probably intentionally trying to close the gate on my vehicle.
Mhm.
He knew that I was coming. That's why the gate was closing. That's why he was walking up the driveway and yelling and cussing at me and wouldn't even take the order from me, to where I had to end up pulling over to the side of the road later. And I even tried to explain to him, like, here he is yelling and cussing at me, and I'm trying to stay, in a good work ethic mindset, trying to explain to him that had I have known that it was him, I would have unaccepted the order and they would have sent somebody else. That plain and simple. He knew it was me coming. That is no question in my mind, especially because the gate was closing and him walking up the driveway screaming at me. So, and he would not take the food from me. I pulled over, I called my work and said, hey, this is what has just happened. I just got yelled and screamed at and the F word used. And he also made a report against me, but he said it was the other way.
Uh-oh.
He still is.
Damn,
Oh
lost
no.
me again. Yeah, I want to ask her more. Because I was wondering too, like I was trying to like, was this his reaction? Like, I don't know when he found out that Jessica was supporting Hero. Like I was just kind of curious, like maybe he had already found out about this stuff being filed to be charged, like, or I don't know when exactly that happened too. So I was wondering if it was retaliatory.
From her Facebook post.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen it on Facebook.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was very open about it, and many
Oh.
of the family contacted her about it.
Oh, wow.
And I have a lot of questions as well for Jessica, because I feel like she is the most vocal one right now, and she's not part of the case, correct?
Not directly at the moment.
Okay, but she could be subpoenaed. You know, they could make her a witness for whatever reason, you know, or, you know, to be helpful of that case.
I have no idea what keeps happening.
I don't know, but you're back, which is what's more important at this point. Go ahead and let us know where you left off.
I have no idea where I left off, because I don't know.
It was with regards to the whole delivery thing. I was kind of curious too. Do you think that was like retaliatory for your support of Hero? Like he was pissed off about that, or just maybe he was just upset with you in general?
I honestly do. This case was kind of up in the air for a while, and it sounds like the case started moving forward as soon as I got a hold of an investigator. And I tried to, before I even gave my story to an investigator, I tried to call both of my parents to ask them if they had heard about these, I don't want to call them allegations, but legally we have to right now.
Right.
And both of them, there are certain things about Jared that they 100% know that he has done that would be even more completely mind-blowing to you than the situation at hand right now that I won't discuss. So I brought up those situations to my parents and said, hey, do you remember when? And you know, throughout the situation, and both of them just kind of stuttered around and said, I don't remember that. Really? Because everybody's been talking about it for the last over 30 years now, or the last over 20 years now, depending on which situation we're talking about. And then all of a sudden, just magically, because of these alleged allegations, they just automatically don't.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I agree.
you know, awesome. I don't have any other questions. Jessica, if you can connect with Mel or connect with me, whichever, we can set up a time. That way, you know, your connection is a little bit better. We'll figure something out, you know. Best of luck. Let us know what happens, okay?
Thank you.